Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin's the lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to PSGL Season 34. And we go to a track where that has hosted the World Cup back in 2022, and a track where we only saw it rain only 9 times per year on average. It is, of course, Qatar, the newest track on the F1 calendar and in the F1 games. My name is Jess Ball, and joining me in the commentary box, as usual, we've got Mr. James Head. James, how you doing?
I'm doing really, really well, Jess. Qatar is going to be very interesting for our drivers out on track tonight. Judging by the F2 standards that we've been seeing so far tonight, it is going to be very hectic, I've got to say, in the first couple of laps, and hopefully not as hectic as what we saw with the steward penalties last week as well. But no, looking forward to this, and it's my first ever commentary around Qatar as well.
And for me, it's my second commentary in a row around Qatar, and I got one more to go on Wednesday. So, which idea is to put 3 different leagues using Qatar on the same week? But anyway, it's probably just a coincidence. But yes, first Grand Prix around here, 2021, 29 laps await our drivers, 5.418 kilometres long, 3.366 miles. Only one DRS zone at the start-finish straight as well, where we've seen quite a few overtakes. But we'll talk more about the track in a minute. But James, we've got some stewards penalties to have a look at, because that's changed a lot in regards to the standings. So, James, what has results done for us from Britain last week?
Well, from Britain last week, Jess, Keane, of course, remember, took the race win out on track, the unofficial race results. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, by the way, it's because I've got them on my screen below. Keane, of course, had a 5-second penalty added on to his time. That was as a result of a collision with Qatar. This was on lap 17, turn 15. I think we caught this, actually, coming in towards Stowe. This was for causing a collision on the straight, leading into turn 15. Keane had overspeed on the 2 cars ahead of him with Qatar. However, he got boxed in, had nowhere to go, and instead of lifting, Keane moved out of the toe and swerved into the side of Qatar and hit him, which is why Qatar didn't lose control of the car. Such a manoeuvre is highly irresponsible and will therefore given that 5-second penalty. The other big news as well, Bradders having that 5-second penalty removed. Remember that incident coming into the pit lane? Bradders had that removed, and that, as a result, caused them up to P1. So Bradders took the win last week as a result. In terms of the other changes as well, the main facts coming from the stewards' penalties, there were other ones we're not going to glance over, but Louis Valentin picked up a 5-second penalty as well, along with Marcados. Marcados' incident was causing a collision. Marcados went for the inside of Aurelian into turn 3. This was on lap 1, not deserving any waiting room, and that led to a collision that resulted in Aurelian spinning. Therefore, Marcados picked up that 5-second penalty, and we are just getting into the lobby right now, so I will shut up in just a couple of seconds. Louis Valentin had his 5-second penalty added on to the end of the race. That was on lap 23 between turn 16 and 17 in towards Bale and Club, and Louis got that for forcing another driver off the track, and he's now got 4 penalty points on his licence coming into tonight. As, speaking of coming into tonight, Jess, that championship order well and truly now first up, especially with the championship leader not being here tonight.
Yes, we only got 15 drivers tonight, but it looks a decent sort of number, because this time a few days ago we only had 9 drivers that said that they were attending, so a lot better than we once thought, luckily. But Bradders not here tonight. He leads championship by 10 points. Marcados in second. He is here tonight. He's 10 points behind him on 22. Jay Van Bussel, he's here tonight. Thank you to him for hosting tonight, because Gentle was having lobby problems. he's on 20. Cazidor and Thorpe on 17. Black Box 5th on 16. Max, our reigning champion, in 6th on 12. Rena in 7th with 10 points. He is here tonight, I believe. No, he's not in scene chat. I thought he was racing tonight, but he wasn't. Joint with Nanda and Sam Gamer. Quite a few changes going in terms of esports teams. Even though Sam is not here tonight, we will mention it again next week. Sam moved to Parnell Racing yesterday. I only found out after I've done a league race around this very track. So well deserving for him because he finished 3rd last week and took the pole position last week too. It was a very good lap and a really nice talent. I think one of the teams to be in, Parnell is definitely, I think, one of the 3 teams that you should develop your F1 esports career with. So good on Sam, but shame he's not here tonight. He's obviously a reserve, of course, but we do have one reserve tonight who's racing. Tom, who scored, he scored 4 points in his PSGL F1 career in season 34, and obviously, of course, he was an F2 champion many seasons gone by. So good to have him back around a track where it's pretty much an even playing field.
It is an even playing field, and there's actually 2 reserves racing tonight because Jerome is filling in as well on the Aston Martin, replacing either Nando or Mubarak. Both of them are not racing here tonight, so Jerome also in the Aston Martin. Tom is one of the first drivers out on track. This could be actually a track that is made for Tom. Tom does like very high-speed tracks. Brazil, certainly to his 4, of course, finishing up with that 4 points, of course, earlier on. Wiener there saying in the chat he's predicting a 0.9 pull from Sam. It would be good if Sam put up a 0.9 pull. However, he's not here tonight, as Baz has said there in the chat, and Markadors is now getting his favourite one. He is one of the first out on track. However, the first man out on track, I believe, is the OP man of Louis Valentine. He now runs down in towards the right-hander of turn number 1. We'll go on board then with this lap, on board with the Williams. The haze of the sun, the haze of the floodlights really catching my attention, certainly. We've now come through the right-hander of turn number 1, then through the left-hander of turn number 2. 121.3 was my personal best around here in time trial. Definitely going to be going a lot quicker than this as Louis Valentine comes in towards the right-hander now of turn number 4. We'll get lost along the way, I'm sure, towards the end of the first sector split. Comes the Frenchman, and a 26.4, very, very good first sector, very much knowledgeable now coming through the left-hander of turn number 6, and then through my favourite corner on the track, as you take a wide line on the exit, on the entry into the corner. That's Louis Valentine coming down through turn 7, then through now turn number 8, and then in towards the left-hander of turn number 10, which is next up and coming towards the end of this middle sector split. And this is the real high-speed nature now of the Losail International Circuit. We'll see what he can do as he comes out through these triple right-handers, through turn 12, through the right-hander of turn number 13, through the right-hander of turn number 14. Getting the car just wants to really come out on you there through 14, and then into the left-hander now of turn number 15 with a wide pit entry on the right-hand side as Louis Valentine now comes in towards the final corner at turn number 16. Of course, a MotoGP track by heart as Louis Valentine now with a flat lap coming towards this lap. It should be around a 120.3, I think, to start off the night. Louis Valentine, 120.4, and I nearly got that right.
Yes, that was a decent lap from Louis. We've got more drivers finishing off their laps. So I do believe we've got Ryan heading towards final corner. Jensen slots himself into P2. These are banker laps, don't forget. We've seen people in the 119s in F2. Ryan up to the line. Let's see. It is P2 for him, 2 tenths quicker than Louis Valentine at the moment. And look at Marlon, 120.367. He sets the timing screens alight. Currently, he was quite close in pole a couple of weeks ago. And then we also got one of the McLarens, a Ryderdale, who is in the middle sector. He's at 26.4 in the first. But his teammate Kian goes up to the line, and it is P1 for the driver in Talent Factory. The driver who just missed out on the win because obviously Bradders got his penalty removed. But it was a really great battle between himself and Bradders last week. I think 2 very big championship contenders at the end of the day as well, but obviously we will see what he can do as we got yellow flag set to 2 and 3. Hopefully it's just people moving out of the way as they make their way through the twisty section of the circuit. Wolakongan struggling to get his lap back together, but here comes Ryder up to the line. He sorts himself into P6, and there's a couple of people who have said in the fort some particular moments about this Qatar track, and one of them, Jade Van Bussel, said, and that's an interesting point, stay between the white lines. And I have to agree, it is a track which is very harsh for track limits. As I found out when I was doing league racing practice yesterday morning around this track, you've got to stay within the white lines, but they've got to find where they can extend. So sometimes we may see more penalties, as we've done in the last few races combined. That's how harsh it is. We'll talk about the other challenges around this track in a minute, but since Joey Van Bussel talked about it, I had to mention it. I think the winner could come down to who has got the least penalties.
Yeah, definitely. So I think in F2, we were just watching that before we came live. F2, certainly there was a few penalties being picked up here and there in terms of the drivers. Also, Jerry Van Bussel mentioned he's practiced an okay amount of time. Maybe he needs to put a little bit more in, so that might be concerning potentially from the man currently sitting there in P7, but it is very close early on in qualifying. It is Keane out on top from Yossi in second, Cazzizzle there in third. The pit lane entry actually coming into pit lane, I'm with Keane there coming in the pits. It is a downhill slope, basically coming into the pit entry. That might catch people out, especially if they're going at about 120 mile an hour coming into the pit lane and then braking at around 50 for the pit limiter. It is going to catch people out potentially. We could see some overtakes into the pit lane as well. Looking through the chat as well, people are surprised that it's only 15 people. Most people are on holiday, the lucky so-and-sos. I wish we were here in the commentary box. We are sunning ourselves, though, in Qatar, underneath the floodlights at this stage of the Shazoo man of Tom, with Ollie Brocklehurst there saying in the chat, giving him good luck to Tom, Kai and Jensen. Not the good luck to Volakongan, though, who is a new signing to Shazoo. Disgraceful behaviour, I've got to say, from Brocklehurst there in the chat. But Tom now coming through the left-hander of turn number 2, then through the right-hander of turn number 3. All is fair and love and war, and hopefully does it show the other Shazoo man some support as well, as Tom now comes through the double right of turns 4 and 5, and we'll see what his first sector is like. And it's a 26.4 dead on through the first sector.
Yeah, pretty decent. I think 26.4 is what we would imagine a lot of drivers still on their first few runs. But I think 26.32 will potentially be the time potential for pole position as well. And yes, Shazoo is another team to keep an eye on as well, especially with Volakongan being signed there as well. Previous F2 champion a couple of seasons ago, really improved himself last season in F1 towards the end with his great strategy calls, and he started to get quicker and quicker as a result, and he's becoming a lot better on this game, to be precise, which I have to say it's really, really good indeed. So I am really happy for Shazoo to give him a chance to be a part of that outfit, as we've got someone who just come across the line, and Tom up to the line. That is a 20.2 for Tom, and as you can see, James was very happy with that, as he was riding on board with Tom, I believe. It looked like a really planted lap for the Shazoo man.
Yeah, really, really good. That middle sector and that final sector, especially coming through the flat right-handers of 12, 13, 14, didn't lift off a single inch there from the Red Bull. Fantastic lap from him out on top, but that is going to now bring about potential change in the field. Louis Valentine now just starting up on a lap in towards the right-hander of turn number 1, of course, in the Williams. He's down in 9th position, but a 20.2. It's 3 tons slower currently than pole position in F2. Urpek, of course, was on pole position, if you didn't see that a little bit earlier on. But Tom now out on top, Keen in second, Yossi in third. And I promised with my reaction there is no bias shown towards the Brit. Currently there sitting in P1 as Louis Valentine is through the first sector. 26.436, the long lap penalty there on the right-hand side, just for good measure, in case drivers do lock up in towards turn number 6 as well. Of course, MotoGP, formerly hosted around this track, of course, has been a real fixture on the MotoGP calendar since 2008, I believe, which is where they hosted the first night race, I believe, in MotoGP as well, back in this circuit, as Louis Valentine through this middle sector split is 53.1. Judging what Tom was setting in the middle sector, he's only around 700 off, so he needs a big final sector here from Louis Valentine. He's got traffic on the right-hand side of him, but it's looking very, very good. Very planted, this car, the Williams, coming through the left-hander of 15, and then in towards the final corner of turn number 16. It's Tom, Key and Yossi out on top. Louis Valentine, though, is going to try and trouble this pairing. Might go ahead of Cazzizzle, Marlon. That sort of area is where I'm thinking. Cazzizzle, Louis now on the run to the line. And look where he goes, right in between the both of them.
Yeah, and we do have some more predictions in the chat as well. Bradders think that Kian is going to get the pole and the win, and he's around about a few hundredths shy of that, and we'll see what he's like in his next lap as he goes through sector 1. Other drivers that are on that, we have the Alfa Romeo of Kazizel through sector 1, but Volakongan has brought his other Shizuka Patrick to shame as Ryan is out the session, but Volakongan fastest for the 120.1. We are slowly getting into the 119s that we will be expecting here today from this grid, as we also got a Ferrari that was on a run, but he's going into the pit lane. I think we have no Alpines, I think, tonight, unless I can, my eyes are deceiving me. Yossi, there we go. He goes up to the line. He slots himself into P4. Marlon's about to start his out lap, and we're seeing some very good lap times from Kian then as he goes through the final sector. One of my favourite parts of this circuit, the triple right-hander. The amount of speed that you can carry in the car is incredible, and I have to say Kian is doing a really great job to make sure that his car is definitely being planted in all the right places. So he's going to come up to the line. I'm going to see the first man into the 119s. Oh. No, but a few hundred shy of Volakongan, I think. Even though we only got 15 drivers, James, we are going to see quite an intense qualifying, and I'll get the gap to leader as Kazizel goes even quicker by 24 thousandths, and the top four are separated by less than a tenth. Less than a tenth, James.
Less than a tenth of a second. You might add Marlon into this as well, because Marlon 26.360 in the first sector, looking very quick indeed. The Red Bull looking planted now as he comes through the left-hander turn number 10, not looking planted anymore as he runs wide, coming through turn number 10, and that is an invalid lap for Marlon. His middle sector would have been a 53 flat and would have been quicker than Tom in the middle sector if that wasn't that invalidation from Marlon. He'll be frustrated with himself more than anybody else, because there's a low out on top. Volakongan in second, Keenan third. If you're a Zhu fan right now, I'd be absolutely over the moon. First and second position at this stage. Keenan there in third, Rodadell there in fourth. Brad is saying he's on holiday there in the chat as well. Hopefully Brad is enjoying his holiday, knowing the fact that he is sitting pretty at the top end of the standings right now, but that can all change, of course, here with very limited numbers as well. Only 15 people. It means we're going to get close racing. It means as well we're going to get drivers fighting out for those literal minimal points. First down to 10th position, of course, 16 points, then 12, then 10 for the top three, and all the way down in 2-point increments, and then 1-point increments, all the way down to P10, who pick up 1 point. Kazizel back in the pit lane. That is pretty much the second run's done. 5 minutes and 15 seconds on the clock. It's Kazizel's out on top. Volakongan in second, Kian there in third. Langfeld there saying in the chat, greetings, drivers better behave. Yes. I totally agree on that. Judging by a certain PCF1 race that we witnessed last night, I hope to God that is going to be a hell of a lot better driving standards than what we saw, with everyone getting very aggressive, I've got to say, in PCF1 last night in WR.
Well, I have seen in many social races before on console for it to be pretty decent around Qatar, but these are the top tier drivers, and they have been told to obviously keep it clean, but it is a new track, so people may not find the use of turn 1 easy because they haven't done lap 1 and turn 1 around here too many times, whereas some other tracks they've had a little bit more practice at the end of the day as well. Whilst we wait for some drivers to come out on track, a quick word for our sponsors, GT Omega, who are having a discount code, 5% off all GT Omega products by using the code PSGL at checkout. So if you want to check that out, click the link in the description, or use the command, which I will type in chat, GT Omega as well. We got some lovely chairs sent to us by GT Omega a couple of seasons ago, and they're very comfy. So make sure you check them out. Absolutely amazing, and thank you to GT Omega for your support as well. But there have been many drivers for the 2021 Grand Prix, where we saw them race around here. Sergio Perez ran in the GP2 Asia back in 2009. He won the second race of the weekend. And also in the MRF Challenge in 2014, Nico Hulkenberg also took the win on the same weekend in 2009 GP2 Asia. So there we go. And interesting about the night race, because it is a second night race on the PSGL calendar. Over 500 kilometres of wiring helps to keep the Losail circuit illuminated at night. That is huge. But I think Singapore and obviously in Bahrain have to keep the floodlights illuminated at night. They have to have so many floodlights, obviously due to broadcast regulations. But 500 kilometres of wiring. That is a lot, James, if you think about it.
It is a lot of wiring, and 500 kilometres, by the way, is about 300 miles. So that is probably me down to London in about 8 hours. That is how we're talking about 500 kilometres in terms of wiring. And I mean, there was over 1,000 workers that actually constructed the circuit as well. They had to be on site most hours. Some of them, in fact, worked 24 hours a day to get this circuit ready for the 2004 MotoGP race that they had in Qatar. Then became a fixture, of course, on the calendar. Then it was a night race in 2008 and has been on the calendar ever since. But in Formula One, we've only had one excursion here in real life. That was 2021, of course. Now coming back in 2023, there were rumblings as well that there was going to be a Doha street circuit actually going to be the main focal point for the racing in Qatar. That not happening. They've signed, of course, I believe a 10 or 15-year deal to keep the racing here at the Lusail International Circuit. Qatar, of course, not a real familiarity in terms of motor racing. However, though, they've got some very good young drivers coming through in their academies. As Jerry Van Bussel is going to be the first man coming on to his lap. He's just slowed down and towards the right-hander of turn number 16, probably listening to me in the commentary box. He now comes through the right-hander of turn number 16 and on the run toward the line once again. And Jerry Van Bussel currently sitting in 11th, Jess, 20.4. Where's he going to go potentially with this lap if it's a clean lap?
We'll have to wait and see then as he heads towards turn number 1 as well, where we've seen a lot of people going to the outside, and there's also some bits of sector 1 where it turns to the inside as well, so they've got to be a bit wary on that. We have seen some really great side-by-side action in real life as well, and this was also the track where we saw Fernando Alonso take his first podium since, I believe, the 2014 Hungarian Grand Prix, which I have to say was very good, and he's got more podiums since then. Purple sector 1 for Jerry Van Bussel. I wonder if that's the game telling us porcupines, but it looked like a good sector 1 to me. Also out on track is Vola Kongen, who we'll see what his sector 1 is like, 26.2. So times are starting to wrap up here in PSGL, PSF1. Let us know your predictions on who you think is going to get pole. We also got, I believe, Kazizel's teammate of Jedson in the middle of his lap as well. But we'll keep an eye on Jerry Van Bussel as he finishes off his lap around the Lusail International Circuit.
No.
Oh, and he spins just so I went on board with him. And that is his lap over. Hopefully he moves out the way for his teammate Vola Kongen as he's heading towards the penultimate few corners as well. This is very huge for Vola Kongen. He could take his first pole of the season. This is looking very, very good for the Ferrari driver, looking to score well in the Constructors. Currently sitting in third in the Constructors. Checker flag is about to drop. Vola Kongen's going to be the first driver to cross the line. What can he do? Is he going to be fastest? Yes, it is. For now, 120.016. We've got a Red Bull coming towards the line. That's Yasu Tom, who's invalidated on the final corner, and he almost spinned it in the wall there, which wasn't good. Next across the line is Black Box. He's invalidated, but what can his teammate do? Up to the line, we'll have to find out very, very shortly. We've got a McLaren out on circuit, I believe that's Kian. Can he beat Vola Kongen, starting 120.0 and getting to the 119s? Oh, by 11 thousandths at the moment.
Oh my word.
He gets pole position, and Ryder is on the lap as well, because it's always looking good. There's a lot of improvements around this lap, but we'll keep an eye on Ryder first. He can only manage 5th, so only 3 drivers can only stop Kian from getting pole position. Markados goes up to the line very soon. What can he do? But let's watch Kazizel as well. He was the one that's looking like to be the most improving. Markados up to the line in third. Can Kazizel get pole? Oh. No, by 23 thousandths. So it's Kian then on pole position, and the top 5 separated by less than a tenth, and the top 3 separated by almost 3/100ths of a second. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time in a while a PSF2 driver has topped pole in terms of timings tonight. He's been in the 119s. None of the F1 drivers could do that, but still a very good lap time from Kian.
Very good lap time from Kian. Yeah, indeed, it was Erpek who set the quicker lap time. I did say in the F2 chat as well, to be fair,
So
that
did I.
it would be troubling it would be troubling F1 pole, and it did, and Opek was quicker. Kian out on top from Volokongan in second, Kazizel there in third, Markados in fourth, Yossi in fifth, 900ths of a second separating top five, with Radadal in sixth, Tom there in seventh. His invalidation, he would have gone quicker, I think, with that lap. Blackbox in eighth, Jensen in ninth, Louis there in 10th, Molon in 11th, with Jeroen, Jerry Van Bossel, Stefano and Ryan, the 15 drivers being rounded off, and that means we can go to our advert break from GT Omega.
Welcome back to PSGL PSF1, where we've seen one of the most intense qualifying sessions of the season as Kian takes pole position by 2/100ths of a second. Lap record set by Max Verstappen in the race. I wonder if anyone could beat that at 1:23.196. First host of Grand Prix back in 2021, and a circuit which is designed primarily with motorcycle racing in mind, but is also hosted Formula One races this year as well. Built in just under a year by 1,000 workers, as James just mentioned, and in 2007 outdoor lighting was put onto the circuit to make it a night race. So we're about to get underway with 15 drivers awaiting to stage our presence. We've got, I believe, 29 laps awaiting our drivers. A few things to mention about this track. Tide is going to play an important factor around this race, with tide temperatures being an absolutely key factor. The softs don't last at all on this track. And most importantly, James, fuel.
Fuel indeed, and yeah, fuel is going to be very much important. I saw the old One Hub clip, by the way, from I think it was last night.
Yeah, it was last night.
Ran out, I think, on the penultimate lap of the race, which is going to be something to watch out for, certainly in terms of the fuel. The drivers, I believe, are getting told now to ready up there, currently in the lobby. Ryan saying in the chat as well, in the Discord, he checked the walls and I can confirm they are pretty hard, so they do not want to be hitting the walls out on track, with Ryan, of course, being out of qualifying. But it's going to be very interesting indeed. The strategies are going to be key. If it's like F2, a set of hard compounded tyres is what you'll need in the early stages.
Yes, we're about to get underway. Who is your pick for the win here today? Will it be our pole sitter, or will it be someone different? We've got drivers that are separated by less than a tenth of a second, so any driver can win this one. Make sure you stay tuned. We're about to get underway. The 5 red lights are on here at PSGL PSF1 for the first race in Qatar. And it is lights out and away we go. And look at the start from Volokongan as they make their way towards turn number 1. But Kian made a much better getaway than Volokongan, even though Volokongan had a better reaction time then, as they make through the sweeping right hand in towards turn number 1 and 2, which becomes the inside line, all making it very clean so far. Yossi gets past Markados into turn 3. He's had a good start as well. Blackbox and Tom go by side up the inside they go, which is some really tricky off-camber corners coming up at the moment, and Tom manages to try to go to the outside. Can he do it? Oh, it's going to be ever so tight, but I think he keeps it on the right stuff today as Tom up into 7th place. Louis Valentin up into 8th spot as well. We got the Aston Martin trying to go side by side with Jensen. That's Jeroen on Jensen, and he's up there in at 10th spot. So clean start so far. I'm very surprised, to be honest, that it's been very clean, but great job to all the drivers so far. And saying that, Stefano, he's under pressure from Marlon through the very, very high-speed section of turn turn number 10. Well, it is past turn number 10, but we are passing the triple right-hander now, and Marlon just about keeps ahead of Stefano. Pretty clean start. Kian leads the field away, but Volokongan had a better reaction time.
Yeah, a bit of squabbling up and down the field, to be honest, but apart from that, absolutely perfect start from everyone. There was a bit of contact with Morn and Stefano, as you mentioned, and there's also side-by-side down the pit straight with Yossi and Kazizel for third position, goes to the outside line, in towards turn 1, and that Alpine, I don't know what he's carrying down the straight. It is very, very speedy, connects in towards turn 1, beautiful move on Kazizel. He's feeling he's into third, and the Frenchman already flying early on. Kazizel is on the back up, Black Box going side-by-side there with Jeroen briefly as well. Jeroen there right on the back. of the Brit, and he's going to try and get the job done as the reserve man to the inside line in towards turn number 4. Can he get the job done? I don't think he can, and everyone just settles down once again. But a phenomenal start. Kian out in front by 0.4 of a second. Volakongan in second, Yossi there in third. A bit of contact there because Zizzle getting on the back there of Yossi. But Yossi was the one to watch out for out of the start. He had a phenomenal start off the line, gaining 2 positions. Most positions gained as well, along with Louis Valentine, who's, speaking of which, is side by side with Tom, just in the background of the shot, but doesn't get the move done there. Does the Frenchman again in towards turn number 10. He's going to look for the move, but he can't quite find the move. Out of that, Louis Valentine getting 2 positions, Jerome getting 2 positions, Jerry Van Basten, Ryan getting 1. Everyone else has either been down or has stayed neutral in terms of their positions gained or lost. Brilliant stop by everyone. And still, we've got the whole field pretty much separated by about 4 seconds.
Not surprised to see everyone on the hard compounded tyres. They must have followed our theories, to be honest, because the hard, even though it takes a while to get up to temperature, it is still quite a decent race tyre. Has Jerry Van Bussel in 11th place, but Marlon and Jensen going side by side into the final corner. You need to carry as much speed as you possibly can there, which Marlon did, and he's up into 12th place. Top 10 score points at PSGL, and Marlon's going to try his best to get in to the top 10. A lot of people not had the best of qualifying sessions, and they're paying the price in the race so far. And with it being a high-speed circuit and not much overtaking opportunities on this game around it is quite crucial to get a high grid position. And with Louis gaining 50 position, it proves that you can overtake here in PSGL Qatar as well. But we'll see a few other positions gain on your screen. I think a majority of people, the most people drivers again, is 2 positions. DRS is enabled, remember, so they can use it within 1 second of the car ahead within the DRS zone. But one thing to watch out for, Dirty L, I think, is more prevalent here around Qatar, and also ERS. There was one moment of the race I did yesterday where I didn't even touch the ERS for like ages, and I ended the race on 20%. That's how important managing ERS is around here, as well as fuel. That is a key thing as well. So we may see people running out of ERS a lot quicker than we've seen in other tracks on this calendar.
Yeah, definitely. So back to your dirty air point as well. Jensen there in 13th, now all the way down in 13th because he got caught either by the inside curb or just got caught completely wide coming out of the final corner the last lap around. And he got overtaken by Jerry Van Bussel and by Marlon into the final series of corners. So that's why he's down in 13th position at this moment in time. Volakongan, though, trying to attack for the race lead on the back of Kian. DRS, of course, is enabled, but they're going to play a bit of speed, high speed, DRS chicken, I think, here in Qatar, as Kian leading the way from Volakongan in second. Yossi there in third. Yossi still, to me, looks the quicker of the front 3 at this stage, just beginning to pull the gap because it's there in fourth. The side-by-side in the background, Jerry Van Bussel to the inside line of Jeroen, and Van Bussel hustled his way into the point scoring positions, into 10th position. Nice move there from the Ferrari, who actually gets caught on the sausage curb there slightly, sent off line, but Jerry Van Bussel gets the job done. He's through and he's into 10th. Jeroen there in 11th, and Marlon there in 12th, of course. Marlon fresh from leaving VIR, a team that he actually cemented in, I've got to say, in the last year and a half, and that situation definitely getting dealt the wrong way, I think, with there. But Marlon trying to prove people wrong, trying to prove his old teammates wrong as well. Formerly part of VIR, don't know where his next destination is. In 12th position, though, be very happy with the start that he's had, given that he's gained a position ahead of Jensen.
Yes, indeed. Surely, if you start at the back of the grid and you gain positions like that, surely it puts you in really good stead for the rest of the race, and you can probably manage your tyres more effectively as well, compared to if you're near the front and trying to defend from the likes of Volakongan and Yossi in front if you're in Kian's case. But I'm sure Kian is doing a very good job in that regard. We'll keep an eye on warnings as well, but we are seeing some potential side-by-side battles at the front, but people are not able to make amends of that, unfortunately. We'll see if anyone is even close heading towards turn number 2. You can see Yossi with the cornering speed that he's got on exit. That is a crucial part that I found on this track to be very, very key. And Yossi trying to get his best result of the season, and he's definitely doing that at the moment. You could definitely tell who has put the practice in and who hasn't. I know if there's a new track on any game, I'd put the most practice out of the new tracks compared to the older tracks, because you need to know about the track limits, you need to know about the characteristics, you need to know when to turn in, the braking points, etc. And it can be very hard for people with no assist to get used to as well, especially if they haven't raced it in any other sim. And you can tell with how close this field was here today that these drivers have put in a lot of practice. I don't think anyone has not put any practice in. They don't just turn up an hour before the race and then go in and race. All they do straight after potentially, obviously, PSGL, they go into other leagues and practice there. And then as soon as Qatar approaches, a few days before, they start practicing for that. As we're seeing a DRS train starting to form here. And one that's getting even closer is Qatar in that Alfa Romeo, which you can unlock the kick livery in the F1 game, believe it or not. They actually updated a few things in at the patch today, and hopefully formation laps will be fixed as well. Volakongan, again, great with the cornering speed, but...
Free wide
as well. I'll let you take this one, James.
Jeroen just defending off Marlon and Jensen, but it's Marlon and Jensen now side by side in towards turn number 2, and he got caught on the outside curve, and unfortunately, nearly all of them run wide. Marlon was the only one that took that corner by ear, and Jensen ran wide. Jeroen ran wide as well, and that now splits the train, and behind Ryan and Stefano will be very, very annoyed at the 3 in front of them. But Jeroen there in 11th, still trying to hang on there on the back of Marlon. In the end, not quite the side-by-side battle that I had in mind, but still a battle nonetheless. Down in 12th and 13th is Kian, still hanging on from Volakongan in 2nd. Yossi there in 3rd. Yossi, by the way, coming through turn 14 or 15 last time, the left-hander, the final left-hander on this circuit. Yossi actually got caught in the curb on the inside and just sent the car slightly wide. It cost him about a 10th of a second to Kazizel, which is why you saw Kazizel so close on the last lap. Yossi, though, absolutely flying through this middle sector. I'd love to see what wings he's running right now, because the Alpine is absolutely making these corners in Qatar look like they're absolutely disappearing. Brilliant stuff from Yossi, who's now on the back of Kian, who's now on the back of Volakongan for the race lead.
It must be a maximum downforce setup, because if you want to have your car fully planted in the corners, you've got to have maximum downforce. But it doesn't look good on the straights, but surely Yossi's got a better setup on the straights. As all Volakongan almost got Kian, and Yossi's very, very close to Volakongan on the inside. We also got Louis battling with Tom in the background. Let's keep an eye on that. Louis just about defends from Tom, and it is nicely stuff going towards turn 3 and turn number 4. I was actually speaking to Yossi before the race. He doesn't really have much high expectations around this track. He just wants a clean race and a possible points finish, and to be honest, he's doing a lot better than that. He wanted 10th, but he's potentially going to aim for a podium finish, maybe even a win, because you can see he is very much liking this track, and a lot of people liking this track because of the flow, and I have to say, I definitely agree with this. And the thing that he's worried about, like all other drivers, is staying between the white lines. He's going to try and do everything he can to avoid a penalty. And in terms of Volakongan's approach on avoiding penalties, he wants to try and put full focus into this race, and he wants to have a clean first lap, and then points will be possible. Now, definitely those expectations have succeeded for these two as well, so we'll keep an eye on their progress for the rest of this race as we're about to go on to lap 8 of 29. Strategies, we've got to keep an eye on strategies as well. Like we said, hard to mediums is a preferred choice. Anywhere between 13 and 17 laps before pit stops can be made possible, and tyre wear, again, a massive factor. And we could see a move from Volakongan once again. Is he going to dive into the inside? No, he thought about it. He was doing the dummy, wasn't he?
He was, and do you know what? He's played a brilliant game, I've got to say, at this stage as well. He is in 2nd position behind there on Kian, but they don't want to overtake each other, because the worst place to be is, speaking of overtakes, Marco's looking to the outside line, and Kazizel goes a bit deep in towards turn number 5, or turn number 4 even. Now through the right hand of turn number 5, Marco's just trying to maybe shimmy away through the Mercedes there on the back of the Alfa Romeo, and Rydell very late on the brakes in behind there as well. But what Volakongan is doing is playing basically a high-speed game of chess right now. He doesn't want to put his piece out in front. He does not want to put that Ferrari out in front, because it's the worst place to be, because you've got a big old DRS train in behind. Everyone's within DRS, so they're going to be getting DRS on each other. And if you're that man at the front end of the field, you've got absolutely no chance of trying to defend a Volakongan Yossi, given that it's a near 1 kilometre straight down the straight in towards turn number 1. So Volakongan playing it smart, but if he's not careful, he's going to get overtaken from Yossi soon. Yossi is so quick through this middle sector. He's literally like a very nippy little fly coming through that middle sector. Now into the final couple of corners. Yossi all over the back of Volakongan. It's a matter of time, not if but when, Yossi is going to get the job done on the back of Volakongan. But again, down the pit straight, Yossi just does not have that speed in a straight line to try and cope with Volakongan again. Pulls the inside line. He's not duking him with this one. He stays in behind once again, and he's playing a big old high-speed game of chess once again.
Yes, I think it's going to be Keane versus Wollongong versus Yossi for a long time to come. But if these three keep squabbling, there's one driver right on the back of this could be like, you know what? I will take a piece of the puzzle, and that is Caziddo. Caziddo is looking very, very quick so far as well. Normally drivers make a mistake, which is great to see, and we've seen that in other situations in other tiers across PSGL where a lot of people have started to make mistakes, and even though they do, safety cars around here, surprisingly, as I found out in a league race, very, very low. So I think if they want to have a good result around it, they've got to manage their tyres effectively as well and make sure they can get the moves as they can. But as we pass turn number 10, it's showing that making moves at the moment can be very difficult. So I think what Wollongong is going to do, wait until the time where he has to pit around about lap 15, 16 for a set of the medium tyres, and that's where he can also go for the potential move. But he may be a bit more vulnerable to the DRS effect as well. So I wonder if he's going to stay behind pretty much until almost the end of this race, but maybe a bit too little too late as Ryder is getting very close to the back of Markados heading towards the start of the straight, but we will keep an eye on Wollongong as well. Wollongong to the right hand side. Can he get the job done? Yes, he does. Nicely done. And I did say, he would make a move lap 15, 16. Well, he did it 5 laps earlier than me. So he's like, you know what, Jess, I will get the move done nice and early. Thank you very much. And there we go. Wollongong is leading the Qatar Grand Prix.
But it's smart from Kian because Kian was wearing out that EOS quite a lot. 73% right now. Wollongong's on 90%, so he is using up a little bit more right now. But Kian has now got a chance to save up that battery, and I think that's actually quite smart from the McLaren. As I say, they're playing basically a high-speed game of chess right now at this stage. And Wollongong now forced into the front essentially by Kian. Kian now in second. Yossi in third has got 100% of ERS. That is how much he's quick through the corners and then quick for the straight line. Yossi is absolutely running all over this field right now at this point. Zizzle had a mistake coming to the first sector as well. He's just on the back foot there in fourth, but he's still 0.3 per second behind. And mistakes are very, very hard to come by around this track. It's looking very, very close indeed. Jerry Van Bussel is on the back of Black Box. Black Box there in P9. Jerry Van Bussel, of course, P16 up to second last week, I should say, in Britain. Very good performance from him last week. He's on the back foot slightly in this race. He's there in 10th position, though, looking to try and get the maximum amount of points potentially out of this race. And speaking of which, Black Box now pulls the inside line on Tom. Tom pulls the inside line on Louis Valentine. This is going to end in chaos if we're not careful. Tom to the inside line, gets the job done. Bit of rear locking coming on the exit of the corner, but Tom is through and he's into P7. Louis Valentine there hailing the cab, I think, judging by how wide he went out of turn number 1. Black Box now through and he's into P9 as well, still ahead of Jerry Van Bussel. But Tom through and he's into P7. Not the move I was expecting to be pulled off, actually.
A move I wasn't expecting either. That was very squirmy from the pair of them. That could have almost ended in disaster, but thank goodness it didn't as they make their way past in towards turn 10 now, in towards sector 2. Now this is a part where I also like around here as well because you're using that apex on the right-hand side to full effect here as well. Someone's saying in the chat, Dirk from F2, whole field in a DRS train. This is going to be a sick race, and I have to say, this has been a really good and clean race so far from all the drivers. No penalties, but saying that, there's probably going to be one driver that's going to get a penalty as soon as I said that, as there was almost a penalty being given by one of the drivers by exceeding track limits quite aggressively there as well. I think he must have got a warning for that, surely.
Yeah, he's absolutely all over the place coming through that middle sector. We saw with Yossi how much of a downforce setup he's got on, and speaking of which, he's now under pressure from Kazizel running down the straight. I don't think that move is going to happen, but Tom is quick down the straight line. It's not being made up for in the corners, and that's why you saw maybe on from Jess's camera angle, certainly on my camera angle that I was getting, Tom there in P7, and that's literally what I was about to say. His back end was kicking out pretty much everywhere. Literally, as soon as I was about to say that, Tom makes a mistake coming out of turn 1 and Louis Valentine's right on the back of him. So Tom, if he is not careful, he could be our first DNF of the race, and I really do not wish that on him at all. He's had a brilliant race so far, but that rear end, trust me, if you are the man that gave him that setup, it's the wrong setup for him.
He definitely doesn't look too confident. I think he's losing the rears quite a lot as well. And you may be fast on the straights, but on the corners, he doesn't have much grip at all. Or maybe he's just struggling with tyre temperatures as well. Tyre temperatures could be a massive factor. And what could be the case? Setups. It is harder to manage tyre pressures on this game. It's not like you can move it all the way to the left like you used to on F122. On F123, it's about your own personal preference, and if you get it wrong, that could really cost you in this race, and that is what Tom is definitely suffering. You can see Louis at the back has definitely got more grip on him, as Louis has gone into the pit. Now, I was expecting people to pit around about lap 13. He's put in 2 laps beforehand. I've never seen mediums get to the end from here, but we know how Louis could do it. Kia's going to go for the lead. Kia's going to go for the lead. And Yossi is going to try and get Volakonga. Volakonga's been caught napping it as we head towards turn number 2. Through the outside line goes Yossi, and then becomes the inside for Volakonga. Great defensive for Volakonga. We got our first time penalty of the session, which is Marlon, 3 seconds. And Volakonga and Yossi, great battle there. But Volakonga almost lost 2 places because of that. Kian is in the lead. And I believe that's probably before potentially the pit stops could happen for the drivers. That was really well timed from the McLaren man. He is going to be vulnerable to DRS from the cars behind. He's not going to get DRS at all, but that was so close. I think this could be anyone's game, but talking of DRS shows, I'm watching Marlon as well. Since he got that penalty, I wonder, James, if he's being a little bit flustered because he's just about lost DRS in that train, and he keeps getting it back and then he keeps losing it again.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a straight part of the track where he can use up a bit of ERS now. Luckily about this track, if he's got a downforce setup on, he should get within the second, no problem. That's exactly what he's doing at this stage. But yeah, the Red Bulls are struggling. To be honest, Tom there in 7th has now picked up the pace, but now Marlon has now come in as Volakongan is into the pit lane. Kazizel following in, and I think Vardadal's also in, along with Tom and Blackbox. So all of them are into the pit lane. Marlon follows in as well. There's going to be a Red Bull double stack in the pit lane as well, which is the worst possible thing for Marlon. Volakongan, though, where is he going to come in relation to Louis Valentin? Louis Valentin, for reference, is coming through the left-hand return 15, and Volakongan, because it's such a long pit lane here in Qatar, probably one of the longest we've got actually on the game. Volakongan and Louis Valentin, eyes may deceive, but Volakongan is going to be side by side with Louis Valentin coming out the pit lane if he's not careful. There is the pit lane emitter. There's Louis Valentin, and look at how much he's going to get in terms of an undercut. He's right on the back of Zizzle, backing off on the back of Kazizel, maybe going around the outside of Kazizel and towards turn number 1, in fact, and look at the freshness of these mediums. Louis Valentin inside line. Kazizel shouldn't fight this if he wants the position, and Louis Valentin is through and he's into 8, so the undercut has worked for an absolute treat for Louis Valentin. And if you're on the top 3 right now, Kian, Yossi and Marquez, you're in trouble.
You're definitely in trouble. Oh, I've noticed how much the undercut has worked to perfection yesterday as well. You can gain about 3 seconds almost sometimes with an undercut. So if you're vulnerable to having to use the overcut, you're in trouble. So Kian and Yossi and Marquez must be even more wide. Same with Joey Van Bossel as well. If I were you, if you've not pitted yet, go into the pits because half the field have come in. And we've got Kian, Yossi and Marquez going to do the same thing as we got another penalty from Tom. So Tom and Marlon in the Red Bull drivers have got penalties so far.
Yossi hits the back of Kian into the pits.
Oh no!
And is that going to be a 5-second penalty coming his way? I think he's got away with it. If he's got away with that, he is one lucky person.
They both got away with it. They both got away with it. They've got no damage. How on earth? It must have been because they got ghosted or something. By the way, the Red Bulls were on top of each other. Here comes Volakongan now. Surely we're about to see the undercut so powerful. We have got every time, and Tom has retired in the pit lane, so that's a bit of a shame from him there. But look at the gap between Volakongan and Kian. It is about 2 seconds. That is huge. That is huge. The amount of time Kian lost just by staying out. Same with Yossi as well. Even Jeroen got past Yossi. That is how the effect of the overcut has not worked for Yossi and Kian.
Rydal Marquez. Beautiful move. The TF10, man. How on earth do you get it around the outside of turn number 5? Brilliant stuff by Rydal. Absolutely signed, sealed, and delivered that while Marquez has been done like an absolute kipper. And now Rydal's about to do Yossi potentially as well. That yellow flag in sector 1 is still for Tom. But look at Rydal, his pace now really picking up, but he doesn't want to overtake. The high-speed game in chess is back. Yossi's staying in 8th position, Rotterdam at 9th. Their net P, what, 5, 6, 7, I think, at this stage. Yossi, but Rotterdam is so much quicker than Yossi through this middle sector. Yossi now in trouble, and he's out of DRS range, Jess.
Yes, so we have seen everybody in one DRS train before the pit stops, but I think we're starting to break. Oh, he's hit the back of him as well. That is not good for Ryder, but I think Yossi has been drawing back a little bit. He's going to try and gain back from a lot of drivers. But look at this, Black Box is going to be 3 wide, heading towards turn number 1. It could be 4 wide even. Surely Thor's got back on now as Black Box tries to go around the outside there, heading towards turn number 2. And I have to say, Black Box doing absolutely fantastic job in that Apatow. He can score some really good points in PSGL F1 tonight by doing that. He's managing his tyres really, really well. We've still got 2 drivers to come into the pits that could change everything. But so far, Volokongan is leading this race by 0.3 of a second onto Louis Valentin, who could be on for his best result of the season as well. Safety cars could change things, but we do know that a lack of safety cars around Qatar is something that I'm probably glad about on this game, to be honest, but you never know with these PSGL PSF1 drivers. But don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you leave us a like and subscribe and hit that bell if you're new. Follow us on Twitter as well, at PremierSimGL, and Instagram, at PremierSimGL. You can also check our title sponsors, GT Omega, where you can get 5% off all GT Omega products by using the code PSGL at checkout. Click the link in the description or use command !GT Omega, because it's all right on the back of Louis Valentin now. It's Volokonga versus Louis versus Khalil versus Kian. It could be another 4 wide situation soon, but I think they're preserving their tyre wear, it looks like, on this lap. But here comes Markelos this time on the right-hand side of Ryderdale. This time he gets through. Markelos up to 8, James.
Yeah, nice move, and he's got 50% of ERS to try and use up onto the back of your own. It's going to be difficult in this first and middle sector, but in the final sector, he can gain all of that time back. So Markelos now, fresher tyres than Rotterdam. He's now going to try and bring them all back into that DRS train, which is going to be fair. Marlon picks up a 3-second penalty there as well. Back to Brothers' point there in the chat, saying appealing is not allowed. He got a 5-second penalty last week. He appealed it, and in the end, that got removed. This is a totally different scenario. He got away with it. I think it was Yossi on the back of Kian, if I'm not mistaken. Yossi broke so late on the brakes, on the back of Kian. There was physical contact with both of the cars, and I am shocked as to why they have not got a 5-second penalty. Certainly caught from my end. I wish I clipped it now so it could be used potentially for a little bit of gain for one of the drivers. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because Yossi there in 11th position, Kian there in 6th, McLaren there currently ahead of the Alpine, and the one that actually brake checked, well, basically brake too late into the pit lane, is all the way down 11th position, and he's getting Stefano for trouble as well. So this is going to be big, because this is right on the back of Louis Valentin, is going to surely saunter by down in towards turn 1, and look at Kian in terms of the speed as well. Is he now going to come like a ball out of the blue to try and get both of them in towards turn 1? He's not, because Zizzle though gets the job done on Louis Valentin. He's through and he's in for net P2 right now behind on Volokongan. Jerry Van Bussel still lead, Volokongan second, Zizzle in third, and that Dutchman in front, Jess, Jerry Van Bussel going for a set of soft compound tyres with this strategy.
Surely that's got to be the reason why he's staying out for so long, because he's past the pit window we would expect of 13 to 17 laps. If he was going to stay out for long anyway, he would lose a lot of time on those medium compound tyres if he comes in. But he's done it before in PSGL. Go on a set of soft compounded tyres. He usually gets out of sync for the drivers, and he usually gains a lot of position. We saw something similar in Silverstone last week, so I wonder if he's going to do a similar strategy up here as well. A lot of support for your own in the chat, as well as for the Congan as well. Let us know who you were supporting in the chat. Jerry Van Bussel is going to come in, actually. Every time we talk about a driver thinking, oh, they're going to stay out a bit longer and go on a set of softs. Well, they're coming in now at the end of the potential pit window. Surely he's not going to go for a set of mediums now, because otherwise he's going to lose out so much time. Yes. He is going to go onto a set of mediums. Understandable, so I don't think softs could get to the end anyway. But why? He should have pitted earlier. Look at how it's going to be a forward train of cars getting past him, and he's going to drop way down.
He is, but he's going to be in clear air, I think, coming out of the pit lane. Jeroen pulling to the inside line. Rodadal to the inside line as well. On Jeroen even. Jeroen's the one getting overtaken. Marquinhos is through and he's into 5th. Rodadal trying to get the job done there. But look at where Joe Van Bussels came out. I thought he'd be out in clear air. He is indeed out in clear air. That's why he's came into the pit lane. Medium compound tyres, 4.6 seconds the gap. They warm up so quick around this track on this game. And, of course, Qatar being the first new track in the game along with Las Vegas, it is such an interesting fact to find out because Joe Van Bussel now, he's in clear air, but to what extent? Marlon's got a 3-second penalty again. I think he's put them, 9 seconds now as Marlon at the back end of the field, down in 12th position. He's got Jensen for company just outside of the points. Joe Van Bussel, though, ideally has got to hope for VSC, I think, to get back in the race. 4.4 seconds, but his mediums are going to be so quick, don't get me wrong. I can't see him catching 4.4 seconds without the aid of any DRS or any outside interference, i.e. a VSC. Ryan and Stefano win a DRS train. They're just outside of the DRS train that's in front of them, though. As Jensen is going to get the move done on Marlon. Not quite.
No, it's nice to see them two having a little bit of a battle, even though it's for 12th and 13th position. Bearing in mind, Marlon does have that 3-second time penalty, as we said, and Kian trying to go for the move on because it's all been pulled the dummy there, heading towards turn number 1. But this time, can he try and go and take the right-hand side line? He's going to try to around the outside in towards turn 2. Cazizzo holds his line there once again, and defensive class of dreams goes Cazizzo, and those words didn't make sense, but I don't care. Cazizzo stays in P2, and that's really helping out Vola Kongan ever so slightly to keep that race lead for ever longer. And I wonder if the two Shizou compatriots will be working together here, even though they may not be allowed to do so. They're only allowed to help their constructors. This is going to give some good hope for the Shizou Esports outfit, for them being P1 and P2, and Kian in 3rd place. Louis Valentine in 4th with Marquinhos in P5. I have to say, Marquinhos has had a astonishing race so far because he qualified lower down. He's dropped 1 place, but still he's able to keep ahead of some of his other rivals in front. Louis and Jeroen have had good races. Ryan has had good races. He's starting near the back. He's getting 6th place already and could be on for some great points if he can stay it on the right lines, as in the track limits, as they head towards the final corner. As we're about to start lap 21 of 29. Not that long to go to the end of the race. Let us know who you think is going to win, but we'll keep an eye on that battle between Kian, Cazizzo and Vola Kongan. Kian not so close this time, so it may be down to the straight line speed, or maybe he's saving a bit of his tyres. Ryderdown's getting a bit closer though. He calls to the right-hand side. And there he goes, up into 6th place, James.
Yeah, lovely move by Rodadal. Jensen sets the fastest lap of the race as well, so he's now got the fastest lap point. However, he's not inside the top 10, so that doesn't count. So it's important for Jensen to finish here tonight. They didn't qualify for Legacy early on. Macho not getting them, unfortunately, through. I think it was a 10th of a second they missed out on. But Vola Kongan and Cazizzo currently out on top, 1-2. If you're a Shizou fan right now, I'd be very, very happy, but one of them has got to decide who is going to go for broke. It depends on who's better in the championship, I think. And as it stands, looking at my notes and looking at the standings, that currently is Cazizzo. So Cazizzo there in 4th, currently there in 2nd position out on track. He's 4th in the standings. If Shizou were to play a game with the rest of the drivers, I would say put Cazizzo in front of Vola Kongan and let him get the race win. That might be controversial, but I don't mind. As block box, Jeroen to the inside line, 3 wide into turn number 1, and Jeroen gets around the outside of Rodadal. Black box gets the inside of Rodadal. Both of them get the move done, and Rodadal just being made to look like an absolute kipper once again. Rodadal down into 8th position, and Jeroen and Black box pull off a worldy move.
That was incredible from Jeroen. I have to say, a really stellar performance from him. I have to say, one of the contenders for drive of the day with the positions he's gained and how he's been able to make some really stellar overtakes and pull off a really good undercut strategy from the rest of his rivals too. So surely he's got to have the pace to manage it for the rest of the race, because otherwise he's going to be in a sport bother with all the other cars being chased as well. But he's not that far behind Marquinhos, so he could potentially fight for this race win. But like I was saying at the beginning of the stream, the race win may come down to a driver that's picked up less penalties. I'm quite surprised that not many people have picked up penalties, only 2 drivers. In many leagues I've commentated on or raced against, I've seen a lot of drivers pick up penalties. There may be people trying to pick up less warnings potentially as well. Maybe with the questions I posted to the drivers in the chat, maybe they wanted to try and avoid the track limits altogether, or maybe in other leagues they raced around Qatar already, like in WOR, I believe they raced around Qatar, or going to race in Qatar quite recently. It's Jerry Van Bussel to the inside, past Stefano, up into 10th place. Black Box and Jerome gets past. Black Box back up into 6th place, but surely Jerome's not going to take no for an answer, and he wants to try and fight Black Box very, very soon. Another person that's looking very racy is Markados. He's going to try and go to the right-hand side, heading towards turn numbers 5 and 6, but couldn't quite do it on this occasion. Markados looking very, very good through turn.
Jerry
Van Bussel going for the move once again through the same corner that Markados was trying to get the move. Again, Jerry Van Bussel was very squirmy, and I'll have to say, cameraman, that was absolutely awful camera angles.
Beautiful.
Can we get a game where you could choose our own camera angles, please? Good move, though, but rubbish camera.
Oh, I was on board with that. That was absolutely picture perfect for Jerry Van Bussel. Perfect around the outside of Ryan. All of these guys, though, Jess, look at them. Blackbook's on 2% of ERS. You roll him 14. He's got a little bit more to use. Rotterdam's on 19. Jerry Van Bussel's on 59%, and he's running an absolute mock, it seems, all over these guys. Black Box is desperately trying to get them back in DRS range. Joe Van Bussel needs to be the leader of this pack, ideally. He needs to be the sacrificial lamb out of these guys to get back into the race. Luckily, though, Black Box is within DRS range, so they're now back within that DRS train once again, and it's going to be 3 wide, potentially down the straight again, with Rotterdam on the back of your own, and Joe Van Bussel is going to watch this in the background as now pulled to the inside line as McLaren and Rotterdam. They're off centre slightly through turn number 1, but I think your own's just going to hold the move around the outside. He does indeed. Rotterdam forced out of turn through turn number 2, and your own through, and he's into 7th position, hanging on by an absolute grim thread.
Some really good racing between these guys as well, and this is how you race in Qatar. I was a bit worried actually going to this race. Oh, are they going to keep it clean? And even some of the people in chat saying, please keep it clean. And they are definitely doing so thus far, but we've still got 5-6 laps to go. You never know, all hell could break loose, which I hope doesn't do that, because otherwise there's more work for Louis and the stewards, as in Kryptonite, who's potentially could be watching this after the race. But at the moment, looking decent so far. I think the only investigation could be the pit lane incident that we saw earlier. But apart from that, everybody running very well indeed. Make sure you give us a like as Jay Van Bussel gets past Ryderdale. Unfortunately, only caught the aftermath of that, but it looked like a very good move from Jay Van Bussel up into 8th place. We're starting to see those fresh mediums take it to full effect. He is in that DRS train now, goes Jerry Van Bussel, and he's got more of the medium tyres to play with. He can push compared to the other drivers, whereas the other drivers will have to think about tyre wear and more potentially fuel saving, as Kazizel trying to get past Volagong, and Kian trying to get past Kazizel in a domino effect, but can't quite do it.
Yeah, definitely so. Jerry Van Bussel, by the way, on the back of your own, 7th and 8th position, just coming back on him. Still got 40% of ERS. He used up a little bit to get that move done on Rotterdam. I think Rotterdam may have made a mistake coming out of turn number 10, and therefore Jerry Van Bussel got through at that part of the track. And Jerry Van Bussel, as I say, he's running all over the back of your own right now. Is he going to go for his traditional dive bomb down the inside line into turn number 5? Yes, he is. Pulls it off. Beautiful move. Jerry Van Bussel is through, and he's into 7th, and now becomes the sacrificial lamb at the front end of the group with 40% of ERS. And if you're Black Box right now, Black Box all of a sudden has saved up a bit of ERS. I didn't realise he jumped onto the back of the 6-car train for the race lead, but Black Box has managed to do that, and that just speaks volumes, I think, in terms of his management of the tyres, his management of fuel as well, so far in this race. And he's there in P6, but I tell you what, Jess, lap 25 out of 29, still, 4 laps to go in this race. Anybody, and I mean anybody, out of the top 11 can still win this.
Unless you're Ryder, because he's got a 3-second penalty. But if you're in the top 11 without a penalty, you stand in pretty good stead of winning this one, and you're probably going to be disappointed if you don't get this race victory. That is how insane this grid is. You can tell they put a lot of practice in, and Black Box looks like he could try and get past Markados, but the battle for the lead is getting even more intense. Well, look at Louis Valentine out of nowhere. He almost got past Keenan towards turn number 2, but couldn't quite do it. Black Box in there too. It is absolutely insane. Get your predictions in the chat, because this is going to change in an instant, potentially. They can't afford to take too many risks in this race. The race is not over until the checker flag falls, and it will be cruel to see their hard work around this track come to an end if they get involved in an incident. Let's look at Jay Van Bussel. He's around 7 depths. He's in this DRS train now. And I think Jay Van Bussel's also got a really good shot into winning this race. There's no possible opportunity for a safety car. So thank goodness we've had no safety cars in this race. Otherwise, I would have probably cried in a corner there as well as we head towards turn number 10, getting that straight line speed. And look at Margalos there, trying to make amends as well. He's lost 1 place in this race, but surely he wants to gain another one, and another penalty has been given to Marlon. I think Marlon has got the most penalties in this race so far. We've had 1 retirement so far of Tom, but everyone else managed to stay in this one as we're about to start the final few laps of this race. Fran St. Jerry is goated, and I have to say, he's doing a great job. And look at this, he's right on the back of Black Box.
Here he comes, on the back of Black Box for the race lead as well, because Izzle's going to go for the move, and it's 3 wide down the straight. Kean through the middle of them, parting of the Red Sea like Moses to the inside line. Brilliant stuff by Kean. That is world class from the man. The Dutchman takes the race lead from Kazizel in second, Volakongan in third. That is absolutely insane. You have no audacity to go through the middle of them like that. Kean through, and he's into the race lead. He pulled off a move very similar last week, of course, at Silverstone. He got a penalty because of it. Louis Valentine now diving it down the inside line, and Volakongan. All hell now breaking loose in Qatar, and Volakongan forced off track, might be getting a penalty potentially for Louis Valentine. As a result of that, it was a bit of a push to pass the Ferraris side by side now, coming through the middle sector. But my word, Kean Goldendorf, brilliant stuff. Round the outside, gets the job done, through the middle of both of them, down the pit straight. You have audacity, my friend. He is out on top from Kazizel in second, Louis in third, and that might just be one of the best overtakes I think I've seen all season.
I have to say, I got to agree there. Kean, absolute masterclass. He did a Daniel Ricciardo type send, Carlos Sainz type send, and the most commonality thing was they were in McLaren. Did I send it? Did I God send it? Oh, he definitely sent it. All right, look at the gap he's pulling away. And Louis Valentine is also wanting a piece of the puzzle. He's going to try and do the same thing on Gadizzle, or maybe Margaros wants a piece of the puzzle as we're heading towards turn number 1. Round turn number 1 they go. Look at Louis Valentine. Can he get Kazizel beats up the pressure from Margaros as well? Nope, he can't. And with 2 laps to go, anything can happen in this motor race, and it usually does. And I have to say, I thought Volakongan was running out of fuel there. Margaros, he's going to try and go the long way around. And beautiful move from Margaros. He's up into third, and he's on a podium spot, and he's got a brilliant chance of winning this race. And look at Black Box. Black Box of Volakongan almost doing a set. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work as we head towards. And Jay Van Bossel, there's lots of moves being made in the final few laps of the race. As we head towards turn number 8 and 9. It's going to go to the inside line, making it round the outside, potentially a little bit of contact from the 2 of them, but literally any one of those top 11 could win this race. And if you just joined us, where have you been?
Still final, nearly a lap to go here in Qatar. I've never seen a league race like this in my 10 years of league racing commentary. I'm all for it. Hold on to your hats, my friends, because this is going to be one wild and wacky 5.4 kilometres here in Qatar as Kean leads the way into the final lap. But look at the tow already, because this has got 70% of VRS to try and come at him down the straight. Kean already with that red fuel light flashing. Here comes Kazizel to the inside line, in towards turn number 1. Shuley for the race win to the inside line. Kean trying to hang it all the way around the outside on the brakes. How on earth can you get them side by side? Now into turn number 2. Kazizel, Kean, side by side still. Brilliant battle between them both. Margaros now getting involved in this action as well. Comes to the inside line and Kean now drops to third. Kazizel now leads. Margaros in second, and Kean picks up a penalty. Oh no! On the outside of turn number 4, I think, on the outside curve, Kean picks up a penalty. Kazizel now leads. Margaros in second, Kean in third, and Jerry Van Bussel. People saying in the chat, with the big brain strat, he's there in fourth. He's involved in this race win as well. It looks to be between the front 4. I'm losing my voice, as you can tell. I don't care. Kazizel leads the way. Margaros in second, Kean in third. Kean will appeal that penalty for definite, I've got to say. But Kazizel leading the way onto the final What is it? Final stages of this race, the final third of the lap. Kazizel leads the way. Marcados in second, Keenan third, and Marcados is going to try and come at him with one last gasp attempt as Louis Valentine now picks up a penalty as well.
Jay Van Bussel on Kian. He's very close up at the moment as they head towards the final corner, but I don't think they could do it. But we could see a photo finish here, but you never know. Marcados has got to use the DRS in order to do so, but he's running out of VRS, so who's going to win? He hasn't got enough. Kazizel comes across the line, and he wins in Qatar. Marcados in second, Joey Van Bussel third, Volokoglu fourth. Surely Kian is going to get his penalty appealed. I'm certain for that. Black Box in fifth, Jerome sixth, Ryan seventh, Kian eighth, Stefano ninth, and Louis rounds up your point scorers. And I have to say, this is one of my favourite races of the season. We were right after seeing the PCs that it was going to be an absolute mess of a race and being very dirty. Well, I have to say, F1 23, this is how you can race in Qatar, and you can race well. Lots of moves of the season, and one of the races of the season. Kian take a bow, but Kazizel take an even bigger bow because he made the move that he was looking for, the race win. What a finish. I'm going to remember this race for the rest of my commentary career, I think.
Oh, definitely so. Joey Van Bussel, by the way, Driver of the Day awarded by the in-game fans. He, to be honest, deserves that as well, but Kazizel, just a masterstroke, I think, in terms of ERS management. That's what it came down at the end of the day. He had 73% of ERS coming out of the final corner, burned pretty much all of that down the straight and towards turn one. That's why he got the move done. Kian only had about 35% coming out of the final corner, and all of that came onto the final lap with Kazizel now being your race winner. And Brad is, of course, not attending. I'm having to do the maths here because Marcados, of course, finished there in... I don't know. He finished, I think, in second in the end. I'm gonna have a look at the standings. He did finish in second, Marcados. So Marcados, I believe, now takes the championship lead from Kazizel. And the gap, I think, between them is 1 point. I think it's 1 point between them. Kazizel, they're leading the way. Marcados in second, Jerry Van Bussel in third. They all top three. 13th on the grid up to third as well. Jerry Van Bussel proving that he's an absolute GOAT from F2 last season. Volokoglu in fourth, with Black Box in fifth. Jeroen there in sixth, Ryan in seventh, Kian in eighth. His 3-second penalty, I have a feeling, might get removed. It might be up to the stewards, though. But if that does get removed, he should be third, I think, as a result of that. Stefano and Louis rounding off the points, the provisional results at this stage. Rodadal, Jensen, Yossi, Marlon, and Tom, the top 15. 14 finishes in the end. Marlon sealing the fastest lap of the race at the end of that race as well. Tom there, DNFing, of course, a little bit early on. But yeah, judging by my math skills, Marcados, because he finished in second, is on 34 points. Kazizel's on 33. Bradders is on 32 provisionally. So there's 2 points separating the top three going into next week.
That is crazy. I'm loving this PSF1 Championship. I know we get races that are not the best driving standards, but I think they've learnt from the stewards. I think they were scared that Louis was going to come down on them, but luckily Louis not going to come down on them too much as well. And I have to say, Marcados and Jerry, the stars of the show, go from like 5th or 4th or whatever to get in onto the podium. And Joey Van Bussel, we thought his strategy was not great, but he had the fresher mediums. He was able to have that extra tyre wear and able to push for a bit longer. We thought this not going to work, but we forgot how hard the tyre degradation is around here. So definitely the brain shot from Joey Van Bussel, and a lot of other drivers take credit as well, especially with Kazizel. Kazizel's not had the greatest of seasons in the last few seasons. That's definitely redemption from him. A redemption season, I think, for PSGL, season 34. And Kazizel's going to add his name to the list, making it, I think Brad has been the only driver to get 2 wins. As you could have told me, James, if you were dragging someone to the interview room, because that means I would have had to go to the interview box. But we've got 2 drivers to speak to. James, who would you like to speak to first?
I'd like to speak to the man who took the race win, and I'm pretty sure he didn't expect the race win in this race either. It is Mr. Shazoo Kazizel, and Kazizel in the end. Fantastic race from your perspective. Talk us through it, because the last few laps, I think, are probably the best I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, to be honest, like it was just like you said, going into that, wasn't really expecting anything. I qualified P3, and I thought, maybe we can get some good points here. And then obviously I dropped down to P4 quite early, and obviously this track's really difficult to overtake when you're in the train. So I just tried to chill, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for the undercut. It ended up working, and then from there, I think I was P3, and then I ended up getting past Louis, and then obviously I was just behind Vola for a little while, chilling, and then obviously Kian had such great pace on those fresher medium. So at the end of the day, I was sort of forced to go for it. And from there, it was just a bit of chaos, to be honest. I can't remember much of it. I just remember, I just remember battling a lot and holding my breath through T1 as well, like 2-3 wide. It's just that's one of the best battles I've had in a very long time. To be honest, I'm just really grateful for the win. To be honest.
Yeah, it certainly seemed that way. I mean, from my perspective, going on to what I think was the penultimate lap of the race, I can't even remember myself. There was 3 wide down the straight. Kian absolutely burst through the middle of both of you like a shot out of the blue. And I was thinking to myself, well, Kian's going to get the race win now. It all came down to the final lap, and it all came down to your ERS management. You had about 70% of ERS, I think. Kian had 35%. Was that the winning move, I think, in terms of the ERS management going on to that final lap?
To be honest, like from going into this race, we knew ERS was going to be really difficult. So I made it very clear that I just was going to try and save as much ERS as possible. And obviously that 3-wide move, it was like a bit scary, to be honest. But I knew that Keane was going to get past. So I thought to myself, I'm going to lift off and let him through. So obviously him getting through gives me, being second on this game is 100% the winning strat. And I just didn't want to lead going into it. And I wasn't 100% sure of his ERS, but I knew that I'd done a pretty good job. Coming out of last corner, I had like 70% ERS. So I just knew, just start burning and just pray that I can, get ahead. But it was very close going into T1. He was very quick on the straight. So, on another day, I maybe even not have got him. But, I'm just really happy with the ERS management for that race.
Yeah, ERS management absolutely key around the final couple of corners, especially going on to the final lap there as well. Provisionally, I believe you're going to be P2 in the standings. I'm not sure if there's going to be outstanding penalties or anything coming your way. I don't think you did anything wrong in that race. So if that is the case, you're P2 basically going into the rest of the season. And obviously with Austria coming up next week, how A, are you going to attend? And B, how are you looking forward to Austria? Is it going to be another Kai Kinch masterclass?
Well, we shall see. This has been a win that has been in the making for a very long time now. I think it's been like a year or two, to be honest. So, first of all, I just want to sort of enjoy the moment of actually winning for the first time in a very long time. And then from there, we will look forward to Austria. Typically, a track I'm not 100% strong at, but I feel like I wasn't very strong at Qatar, and look what happened, So, maybe it'll be another miracle. You never know.
You never know. You never know. Indeed. Jess, any questions?
Well, I was about to ask you the Austria question, and you nicked it right out of my mouth. So no questions for me, thank you very much.
And that is it, because it'll go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
You are very welcome indeed. And we can now speak to the man who finished in P2 with another strong result. Of course, it is Mr. OP Marketers. And Marketers, in the end, P2 for you out on track. It could have been P1, though. Talk us through it.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Very unexpected for me, because I practice not that much, but PB'd in the quali, so very, very happy. So yeah, I knew that I must drive clean because I have a lot of penalty points, so that's not the best thing to go on a race. But yeah, in the race, the hard stint was okay. I think the S train was really, really easy. Behind me, Radar was also chilling behind. So yeah, I knew from my race engineer that Yossi got wing damage in the box, I think. And then I hope that I can overtake him quickly, but he was a whole round ahead of me. A whole lap, sorry. And yeah, then I thought the race is over because the DRS is so powerful here. But yeah, luckily I got again in the train. And then it was important moves against Kian at the penultimate lap or in the last lap, I think. Was Louis, of course. I thought Jerry would win the race because he was so fast on the medium, but yeah, luckily I was ahead of him on the final straight, and yeah, is P2 for me. Very unexpected, but yeah, GG's to Qatar.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, you drove a fantastic race, I've got to say. P2, I'm sure, wasn't your expectation coming into the race either. But going into, of course, the rest of the season, I believe you're going to be the new championship leader because Brothers, of course, didn't attend. I believe provisionally you're going to be 1 point ahead. So with obviously those license point and everything overhanging, what is your focus now for the rest of the season? Is it more consistent points?
Yeah, of course. But I think the question is coming, but Austria is very important. First of all, the quali, the field is so competitive. So we saw today, I think the top 5 in between a tenth of a second. So yeah, I think the goal is to score as many points as possible, of course. But yeah, we will see how the calendar after round 5 it is.
Yeah, we will definitely see because we don't even know ourselves what the calendar's going to be after round 5. We could be commentating anywhere for the rest of the season. Jess, any questions?
Well, I have to say, great job, Markados, Mr. Consistent, I have to say. I don't think you weren't even expecting to get P2 after not a great qualifying from you as well. Who would you say is the driver to watch out for in terms of your championship chances this season? Of course, you got Brothers, but do you think you can add the lights Cazidal to the list, or is there anyone else that we think that we should keep an eye on in terms of your championship hopes?
I think Kazidl, of course, yes. Brothers also, but also Jerry and Max, I think, because they are very, very quick in the race, and if they get a good quali, so yeah, it's very hard to beat them, but yeah, hopefully it's enough for me. But we will see. It's the 3rd race, so yeah, 7 races to go.
Yeah, still plenty of chances as well. And one final question before we move on to talk about Jerry Van Bussel. Since the calendar hasn't been announced after Austria, what tracks would you like to see on the calendar?
Well, good question, Jess.
You never know, your choices could be on there.
Wait a second. I must go to the tracks.
He's getting the F1 calendar up on his phone now because he doesn't remember what's
Yeah.
on the F1 calendar.
Yeah, well, whilst we wait for Markados to look, James, what would you like to see on the rest of the season 34 calendar after Austria?
Do you know what? I'd love to see Japan on there. Japan is a track
Yes.
upcoming in one of the leagues that I'm going to be doing. I think Japan will be very interesting for the drivers. I think maybe Netherlands, Zandvoort as well, has a history of good racing, has a history of contact as well around there. Zandvoort, I think, would be pretty good. Any track, I think, that just delivers great action like what we've had tonight.
Yeah, Markados, have you thought of a track yet? Sorry, I probably throwed you under the bus there with that question.
Oh, good. Yeah, 3 tracks I would like. Same as James, Japan. It's a very, very cool track, but also Imola and Spain would be really, really cool in the calendar.
Yes,
So
Spain, that is a good track. I think a lot of people would like that. I used to hate Spain on the F1 games, but since they removed the final chicane, I love it now. So I love your preferences there. But we will let you go and enjoy your 2nd place. Another great result from you, Markados, and some great moves to boot as well. Markados, 2nd place.
thanks. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Markados.
I'm going to try and nick Jerry Van Bussel in. We might have to go to the waiting room for this one, potentially.
Should we do... I think we should do that. Oh, no, you've already dragged him. Jerry, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good.
Yeah, Jerry Van Bussel, P3, of course, out on track here tonight from what was P13, another absolute strategic masterclass, I've got to be honest, in that race. Talk us through it, because, to be honest, it was not easy. You were P10 for most of that race, outside of a DRS train. How did you end up on the podium?
Well, in the quali, I took a spin last lap. That was actually a very nice spin, but maybe I would be in P7 or P6 without spin. But yeah, from that moment, I just knew to talk with my engineer, like, we need to go very late, otherwise we're not gonna have any chance. Or if you go very early, your tires will be very poor at the end. So Yeah, we went to go very late, and yeah, it paid out very well. A little bit difficult with overtakes, but yeah, I think it's was quite good.
I think it was pretty good, to be honest. I mean, you were P16 to P2 last week, P13 to P3. You've gone in the opposite direction compared to Silverstone from last week. But in terms of your consistency, you were really hitting, I think, the real good vein of form that we saw in F2 last season. Of course, you won 5 races on the row. If people don't know and are still tuning into these interviews, he won 5 races in the row last season. Is that form from last season in F2 coming back, or do you want more? Do you want those race wins?
Well, obviously I want the race wins, but the problem was that in F2 last season I could do a good quali lap sometimes, and now I'm just bottling it every time in the quali, so I need to make up in the race. And yeah, like as today, it's very difficult to have it all perfectly until the last lap and hope to get a win. Yeah, because Louis today I think was defending quite hard, which was very clean, of course. But if I made that move earlier, then I maybe could have a chance on a win. But yeah, I don't know. If the quali is good, then you can do a lot of things.
Yeah, and I mean, you have a real knack, I've got to say, for bringing it in the race as compared to qualifying, as we saw last season, of course, in F2, to viewers who tuned in last season for F2. It was a fantastic race, though, from your perspective. I believe you're going to be moving up in the championship as well with that P3 finish. You're going to be 4 points behind, provisionally, the championship leader. So with that being in mind, what's your focus now for the rest of the season?
Think I'm just trying to be consistent, like last 2 races, just getting maximum points I can get in the race, and yeah, more I can't do. So
Yeah, it seems like a pretty fair goal, I've got to be honest. Jess, any questions?
I did ask this question to Markados, so I'm going to ask the same question as you. Obviously, after Austria, we don't know what the tracks are going to be on the calendar. If you could pick a track that you would like to race in during season 34, what track would it be and why?
it would be Baku, the only track I would want to.
I wouldn't have picked that, but I have to say I love you picking Baku because not many people would have picked that. If Baku's on the calendar, I expect you to win that one, okay?
Me too. So
Yes. Okay. So we got Baku, Japan in there, and I think we got some other tracks in there as well that could potentially be on there too. But we don't know what the calendar's going to be, so you never know. Baku could be on there. Congratulations on your podium finish and another great race for you. Well done.
yes, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. And that
You
is
too.
the end of PSF1. And I have to say, one of the races of the season. I've almost lost my voice. I'm absolutely sweating and I haven't even raced tonight. But I think that has set on what is going to be a fantastic rest of the season. We've got Austria as the next track on the calendar, which I love. We thought Qatar was close in qualifying. Austria's one of the shortest tracks on the calendar. It's going to be even closer. Grab your popcorn out, ready for next week.
Oh, definitely. So Austria has got a real knack, I've got to say, of producing some really close action. It's got the knack as well for producing some bad incidents as well. We've seen that, of course, in the past in PSGL, but hopefully it's the former. Hopefully it's like tonight, we get a brilliant race like what we had in Qatar here tonight in Austria. Austria as well, it's going to be very close in qualifying. It's going to be very much like Qatar in terms of the racing. It's the shortest track on the F1 calendar. And of course, it has corner names, of course, like Sprint, Lauda Curve as well, and the Red Bull Mobile Curve, which is turn number 9, if people didn't know that as well. And we'll be taking you through that, of course, next week. PSGL, PSF1, that's me and Jess, of course, 8 p.m. UK time, along with the other races that we've got coming up next week, including a very important race with Jana Wotmeren on Wednesday. I don't know what may be meant by that, but I think it's PCF1 or something.
Yeah. PCF1, that will be at 7 p.m. UK time. You could catch the commentators there as well. I'm sure it's going to be a great race as well. And then, of course, we've got all the lower PC tiers on at 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Thursdays. And then the PS tiers, including myself and Jones, will be back on Monday. And also PSF2 on at 7 p.m. So Final plug, make sure you do like this video, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell if you are new. Make sure you check out our sponsor GT Omega. They're providing 5% off all GT Omega products by using the code PSGL at checkout, and we have those lovely chairs that have been provided to us by GT Omega. So once again, thank you very much. You can use the command !GT Omega. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at PremierSimGL. You can keep up to date with all PSGL news. You can be kept up to date on all the PCF1 standings and all of that good stuff and find out how the other drivers are doing. Also check out us on Twitter. The socials are down below. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Join our Discord server for more information. Hopefully very soon we'll find out more information about what's on the calendar for next week. But I'm sure it'll be a big clue on Wednesday's PCF1 stream. So if you want to find out what chats could possibly be on there, make sure you watch the PCF1 stream on Wednesday at 8 PM. But for myself and James, we're going to try and recover from what has been a fantastic Qatar race. We'll see you next week, 8 PM UK time on Monday at the Red Bull Ring for the Austrian Grand Prix. Take care, everybody, and bye-bye.
Desperately trying to hang on. He's got the inside. All here is through on the left-hand side. Hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now. His finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.